Star Wars Rebels Season 2, Episode 19, The Mystery of Chopper Base. Now, I didn't realize that this was going to be the episode leading to the season finale, which I am incredibly excited for, especially with their promo, which I will certainly be talking about at the end of this review. But this was a cool episode. We get to see the base. It didn't focus on Chopper. I thought they called it that because it was going to be an episode about Chopper. But it was a cool little focus. It was just, we're at the base. A lot of emotional stuff was tied into this episode, like a lot of subtle emotional things. Maybe not too subtle, but they were subtle mostly to Kanan, really. And also to Ezra as well, because he didn't really understand how Kanan was feeling, and Kanan didn't understand how Hera was feeling about certain things with them leaving, and her caring about him and her worrying about the two of them. So I like the way they did the emotional aspect of this episode, because certain characters, as far as Kanan, he just didn't really understand how Hera felt and why she was so upset and so worried. And with Ezra, he just doesn't know. Like, he still doesn't know what's happening, and I'm kind of freaked out with what they're leading into with all the dark side stuff and the way they do the promo, and how it seems like he makes a huge mistake, but it might still affect him, even though he meant to do good with that mistake. But we'll see. But I like this one. It was pretty simple, honestly. It was like, crazy giant spider-like creatures are on this planet, and they got to take them down. That's pretty much how this episode went. It was really the emotional stuff that tied into it. The action was good. I did enjoy the action, them taking on these creatures, which seemed really, really tough because they have the giant shells, and all they can do is aim for the eyes. So it was still really cool watching them go up against these things and really, take them on and stuff. And they find out that the sensors are the only things that really keep the creatures at bay. So it was just really cool. And I feel like there's not too much to say about that side of things. It was really the emotional stuff that was clearly the heart of this episode, and it was really good. And I really enjoyed it from the beginning. And they have Kanan and Ezra training, which I was trying to figure out what was going on with that, with their lightsabers, because their lightsabers, for one, their lightsabers look completely different. They were darker. They were like a darker blue. So I don't know if there was some sort of thing going on where they set them to a certain mode or something, and I was like, I don't know what's happening, because of course they also hit the wall and it just sparks the wall and nothing happens. And I've never seen that happen before, where it doesn't even leave a mark, unless it's actually like a force field, and there's no mark to be left. So they didn't really explain that, and it could be something that's just like a hint to the universe that I don't know about, which is easily possible, because there's so much in the Star Wars universe that I don't know. But I enjoyed that scene, and it was like, they're training and stuff, and Ezra's getting really good, and he's like, I got you. And Kanan does like the very typical thing where it's like, I got you too, and someone doesn't see the blade stuff. Except his was reversed, which is very different. Normally it's just like, I got your knife and I'm pointing at your stomach and we're looking at each other, but he was completely turned around. So it was really cool. And then he's like, he's really pushing him to train very hard in this episode, and I just really liked that. It's like it didn't pop up too much. It definitely didn't show up too much to where Ezra knew something weird was happening. But it happened, mostly for us to see it again. Like, we see how worried he appears to be, and it seems like it's definitely going to be culminating in this season finale, which I just cannot wait to experience. It should be really great. But it was a fun episode. It dealt with some interesting emotional ideas, and they had a great scene with Ezra and Zeb at the end, where it's like, let's just sit here and watch the sunset. And he's kind of worried about his friends. He cares, and it's Zeb, but he cares. He wants his friends to come back, and they all want them to come back, but they have to go face the Inquisitors, otherwise they'll just keep getting hunted, and they'll put the rest of the team in danger. They need to go on the offensive, and Ahsoka shows up at the end and stuff. So we're gonna have our trio going in. We're gonna get the Inquisitors. Apparently, we're getting Darth Maul, which when I saw that in the promo, it blew my freaking mind, because I didn't remember. I was trying to remember if he died or not in Clone Wars. I thought he did, but I couldn't really remember. But I was so happy when I saw him. So Sam Witwer is still in the Star Wars universe. Sam Witwer is the guy who played Starkiller in the Force Unleashed games, and he's the guy who voices Darth Maul in Clone Wars and now Rebels. So I can't wait to see where that goes. I'm assuming he's still gonna have the robot legs. I just don't know what to expect, and it seemed like he was like, call me old master and stuff. So I can't wait to see what they do with the character of Darth Maul as the master to an apprentice. That should be interesting. And he's lived a crazy life. He's lived, the normal life of a Sith. But then after his thing with Obi-Wan and him coming back and having a brother and all this other stuff, he's a different character. And I really can't wait to see what they do with this. So I'm very excited. And he's even, it's been years since the Clone Wars show as well, like, the time span. So he's taken just as much of a leap from Episode 1 to the Clone Wars as he has from Clone Wars to Rebels. And I can't wait to see, what they do with this character. I'm pretty sure Vader is supposed to show up in this episode as well. We got the Inquisitors. I believe a third Inquisitor. It was either Vader or like another Inquisitor, and it might be both in this next episode. But it should be one heck of a season finale. I cannot wait to see what they do with the Sith Temple. It just looks really great. I'm so excited for this finale. I would like to think it's going to be an hour, but I'm pretty sure it's just unfortunately another half-hour episode. But this was a good one leading up to it. It was definitely the emotional side of things. They didn't wrap it up like things are crazy dramatic and stuff, but they did the really good undertones of what it means for these two guys to be leaving their team. And they make a great point of that. One of the best moments was with Hera when Kanan's like, Ezra, you go with them. And she's like, no, you stay with Kanan. And, it's like, we have to get used to not having them around. As much as it sucks, they do, because Kanan's right, really. They will get hunted, by the Inquisitors, and that would just put the fleet in danger. So I just love kind of the subtle undertones of how they played the emotional aspects of the characters. Like I said, with Kanan, as far as Hera, he realized what the issue was when he talked to Zeb and Sabine. And then with Kanan and Ezra, it's not really the case. And so he still just has that in the back of his head from when he was at the temple. And it's like, I can't let him turn to the dark side. But it basically was kind of foreseen, at the temple itself, which is like the embodiment, or, a place that kind of imbues itself with the Force. So I can only imagine what they're going to be doing for this finale, but it should have some really amazing action. I can't wait to see what they do with Darth Maul. I can't wait to see what they do with the Inquisitors, because of course, season 1, they killed the Grand Inquisitor, and now we have 2, plus we have Vader in it, now Darth Maul as well. I don't even know what to think, who's going to live and who's going to die. If they had to choose one to die, obviously it won't end up being Vader. Vader's Vader, so he's going to live. But out of those 3, I wouldn't mind if, I think it was the 7th brother, or it was either 5th brother or 7th brother, and I think she's 7th sister, so I think he's 4th or 5th brother. I'd be fine if he died. I like the female Inquisitor way better, because I think she's really cool. Plus she fights differently because she uses the drones and stuff as a really interesting tactic during battles. So I would prefer it if they were going to kill anyone off, that they killed him off and then she takes over. Or maybe, she gets someone to replace him, and then there's like a, 6th brother or 5th brother, because I can't remember what number he is. But I'm really looking forward to this finale, of course. I definitely want to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And I don't know about you guys, but like I said, my mind was blown when I saw Darth Maul in the trailer. I had no idea he was going to be in there. The only trailer I knew was like the really big trailer that they released when The Force Unleashed came out. They had a great trailer, and the next episode is kind of the one with all the characters together. And I always avoided mentioning that scene was coming up, because I'm like, that's a huge deal for people who didn't know. So I didn't want to say anything, but now it's been in the promo. It's the season finale, which I was kind of surprised by. Remembering back on the trailer, like, wow, they showed basically like the whole season. They showed a lot of the really big moments, and even clips from the finale, which really surprised me. But I can't wait to see what they're going to do. But my big question for you guys is, what do you want to see from Darth Maul's character more than anything else? I definitely want to know what you guys want to see from the finale in general, but specifically, where do you guys think they're going to be taking Darth Maul? Especially with the line they gave him, like, call me old master. What do you think will really happen between him and Ezra if he's deciding to take on that role? Especially because he would have to know that Ezra's a Jedi, or at least trained to be, a Jedi Knight and not a Sith. Is he just trying to lead him? Is he dead? I mean, because I can't remember. Like I said, he could easily be a spirit within the temple, but I don't believe he is. I'm pretty sure he's actually alive. But definitely want to know Where you guys think they're going to be taking Darth Maul? What do you guys want to see from the finale in general? And of course, what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.